Hi, this is CK at CK Education, and today I want to talk about a book that is hugely popular. It was actually written, I think, in 1937. It's an old book and it's sold, I don't know, millions and millions of copies over the years. And if you've ever listened to any of these get rich quick or becoming wealthy or becoming the top 0.1% or the top 1% or anything like this, you have probably heard of Napoleon Hill, the author, and his book Think and Grow Rich. Now he wrote this book. It's got some great principles in there that everybody should read and understand, and it may indeed change your life. But I think that, like anything, a lot of people misunderstand the point of the book. And so I just want to talk about it a little bit. So Napoleon Hill was sort of commissioned to, like Andrew Carnegie was like the richest man in his time, and yet there are other very wealthy and successful people like Thomas Edison and Henry Ford and so forth. And Carnegie thought, man, what a waste it would be to have all these successful people in the world, hugely successful people, leave this earth without someone preserving that knowledge, that all the things that made these people successful and the things that they know about that. And so Napoleon Hill was sort of this guy who went and interviewed and talked to many, many very successful people of his time and categorized these laws of success. And he also wrote a book called Laws of Success. But and in his book, Think and Grow Rich, he outlines 13 principles. And I'm not here to go over all of those things. And there are plenty of YouTube videos on those 13 points and so forth. But I want to talk a little bit more generally about some of the misconceptions and how a book like this should be used to benefit you. The number one mistake, I think, is to read a book like this and overgeneralize it. Okay, if you look at the cover, the title, Think and Grow Rich. If you think rich, you will become rich. Okay, so this is what a lot of people take away from it. If you just think it, it'll happen. And we think like this because there are other catchphrases that we have heard over the years. We have heard things like, believe, if you believe, you can achieve, and things like this. Okay. I think that's a bunch of crap. It doesn't work. If you just believe it, you can achieve it. Well, it's not that easy. So if you think it, then it'll happen. Again, not that easy. You can think every day, I'm rich, I'm rich, I'm rich, I'm rich. And you'll still wake up 10 years later poor if that's all you've been doing, is if you've just been thinking, okay? So you can't just do that, obviously, okay? But some people think that that's all you have to do. And when I say things like you got to change your mindset, again, it doesn't mean, okay, I'll start thinking, instead of being I'm poor, I'll just start thinking I'm rich, and then I'll suddenly become rich one day. That is not what it means. In a previous video I made, and I think I titled it "Why Mindset is Such a Big Deal." In that, I outlined why when we talk about mindset, it is not so simple as people think. It's 100 mindsets in every part of your life. And so it's not just one thing. If you just switch this, then it'll all of a sudden happen. It may start with that, but there's a hundred or hundreds of other little mindsets that you have to change about all the different areas of your life. Now, so Napoleon Hill was not saying that if you just change your mind, if you just think rich, one day money will come in from nowhere. I mean, that's obviously not what he was saying. But he was saying that highly successful people have certain things that they do think, and that thought process and the mindset is different from people who are not successful. And one of the things, for example, that he talks about is desire. He says highly successful people have very, very deep, burning desires. Now, I've said this many times as well to many people in my life, but you can't achieve anything great. You can't be successful in any one thing in life unless you have passion, unless you have a burning desire. And sometimes this burning desire comes from difficulty and hardships. You see that a lot of successful people, if you hear their stories when they were younger, it was very, very difficult. Okay, they had a very difficult childhood, or and so forth. And they had a lot of hardships, but that developed this fire in them to succeed and to get out of that situation. And so that became their passion. And you see that a lot in a lot of people. Okay. So a lot of people look at successful people and say, well, I want to be like that, but they don't understand what they went through to get there. They don't understand what they went through, what kind of pain they went through, what kind of sacrifice they made to achieve this and to get to this point. And most people would not want to go through that and cannot go through that and cannot make those sacrifices to achieve what these people achieved. And for all the people that came out of that terrible situation and achieved this, there are 10,000, 100,000 other people you will never hear about who never made it. And they're still there, and it devastated them. So when we see successful people, understand that, especially the celebrities, especially the people like big time celebrities, mega millions, big time celebrities, these people, I mean, they are like 0.0001% of the population. And it would be foolish to think that, well, if they did it, I could do it. Okay. Well, positive thinking is better than negative thinking, but that's a little bit far stretched. That has nothing to do with reality. Okay. Someone looks at Dwayne Johnson. Oh, I'm going to be like that too. Someone looks at LeBron James. I'm going to be LeBron. There's only one LeBron in maybe a generation. There's only one Michael Jordan perhaps in our lifetime. Okay. There's only one Oprah Winfrey. There's only one, Warren Buffett. There's only one Bill Gates. There's like these people that we often imagine in our minds as highly successful people. These people, there's only one of those maybe in our lifetime. Okay, it is. So we have to look at and have a more realistic view, and that is. But first of all, you do have to have desire. You got to have burning desire. If you don't have that, you will not be motivated enough to go through the hard work and make the sacrifices to reach your goals. It's not going to happen because you just don't have that burning desire. And someone else who has that burning desire will outperform you, will outlast you. Okay. And some of these other principles, for example, that he talks about is you have to be highly organized. You have to get organized. You have to not just have thoughts and dreams and goals, but you got to get organized about that. He also talks about persistence. Napoleon Hill talks about you got to be highly persistent. Some people try it for 6 months and give up. Some people try for a year and give up. Some people try for 30 years and never give up, and they eventually make it. And those are the people that we watch and say, man, look at that person. I want that. How long did it take that? Well, it took them 30 years. Oh man, I don't know if I could do that. Most people can't. That's why we don't see a lot of those kinds of people. Okay. So there are a lot of things, and he talks about mastermind and many other things. But it's very important that we understand when we read books like this, for the vast majority of us who are not part of the 0.1% or the 0.01%, who are not part of that, the rest of the human race, when we read books like that, we have to be careful not to just get hyped up about it, but really take a cerebral approach, look at it carefully, and see what kind of things am I not doing that I must do. Okay. Am I just talking about it? Am I just hyping myself up? Or do I have a plan? Am I organized in my thoughts? Do I have a goal? Do I have an action plan? Am I being persistent? Am I taking the steps necessary to reach that goal? And these are the very specific things that you got to talk about. When I used to, I love reading books. I absolutely love it. I often joke to my students, and it's actually true, that I probably read more books after college than I ever did up to college. Because, up to college, you got to read books that you don't really like to read. But after college, once I began my career and I went out into the workforce and into the world, man, I didn't know there were so many great books out there. So I read books on I love reading books and learning about different things. And I love these kinds of books as well, like Napoleon Hill's books and on and on. But like I would just sit before I had kids. I go to the bookstore like Barnes and Noble. I would literally get stacks of books and magazines, and I would just go through this and I would read through it. Now I'm not reading every single word. I don't need to, but I'm picking out points that help me. I'm picking out points like, oh, I didn't know that, or I'm not doing that, and I'm taking notes. And okay, next book, and I'm going through it. Next book. I'd sit there for hours, and I would do that. because I want to know what things am I doing that I should fix? What things am I not doing that I should do? What kind of things can I learn? And if I have a goal, if I want to reach that goal, I want to learn everything I can to know what things I have to do to reach that, and then make an action plan, get organized, and you start doing it every day without giving up. And I think if you do that, you reach your longer term goals much more than you ever would if you didn't do. Well, if you don't do that, I think you'll never reach them. So when you take a book like this, you let those principles become part of you. You don't just practice persistence. You become a persistent person. You don't just practice tuning out the negative thoughts, as he talks about. You become a positive person. You don't just try to motivate yourself every day. You become a person of passion. Okay, and so you change the way you think, and you let that permeate you, so that that becomes part of you. It's not just something you're trying to do. That becomes part of you. And so when that happens, that's when you really start seeing results, because you start making decisions differently because you think differently. And I often say this, but if you are right now, wherever you are in life, you're happy, you're not happy, whatever your health condition is, whatever your financial situation is, whatever your family, your relationships, whatever, your situation right now, by and large, for the most part, and I understand there are exceptions, there are things that happen to you that you never planned, that you were doing the right things and it just happened. There are those things in life for sure. I'm not downplaying that. But for the most part, for most people, your current situation right now is a result of all of the decisions that you made up to this point. And those decisions were made because of the way you think. When you were faced with a decision, you went through a thought process to decide, am I going to take this road or this road or this road, this choice, this option or this alternative? And you decided to take that certain option, that certain alternative, that certain choice because of the process that you went through in your mind. But what if that process can change? What if you can reprogram so that you think differently about certain things? You have a different worldview. You take a different angle. You take a different approach. And if you did that, you would make different decisions. If you make different decisions, you'd have different results. And this is why changing your mindset and introducing things in your mind that are good and true and beneficial to you are so important. That's why when you're sitting there just watching garbage all day, or you're taking in garbage all day, or you're listening to garbage all day from people who have garbage mindsets, or you're sitting there reading garbage all day, even in the subconscious, you're thinking garbage. So you got to be careful what you put in, so that when it comes time to make decisions, you're using the right process, decision-making process, to make those decisions that lead to better results. This is so important. Everybody thinks that, oh, this happened to me, or these external factors. It's not external factors. It's by and large the inside stuff. How you think, how you view it, what kind of angle you take, how are you processing that information, what kind of information are you taking in? Those kinds of things are important. So when you read a book like this, and I think this book is absolutely wonderful, and I think that everybody should read it. But remember to read it in detail. Remember to go through those principles one by one and see, how can I do that? What am I not doing that I should do? How can I get burning desire? How can I have a goal? How do I set a goal? How do I get connected to masterminds or people who are successful in that thing? How can I organize my thoughts and my plans? How can I become a persistent person? How can I direct my energy so I'm not wasting it on useless things and directing it towards things how can I get rid of negative thoughts and take on a more positive mentality? These are all kinds of things that we do inside of us. And those things produce results which people can see, which I can see, and you can see on the outside. But remember, those are just the results of what went on in the inside. So books like these are excellent. I highly recommend it, but I would say read it in a little bit more detailed and a more analytical way, so that you actually benefit from it. and you don't just generalize and say, I think it works or doesn't work, but you really can use it to your benefit. And I hope that's helpful. And until my next video, I hope you stay well.